Peace, family. So we back with another one. Today what I want to do is I want to talk to my chosen ones about how you should and better not ever put anything past them. We all know the basic statement. Once they show you who they are, believe them. Believe them. It's been a lot of traps, a lot of trickery, a lot of witchcraft going on in today's society. Some people are doing it willingly. Some people are doing it unknowingly. Unfortunate for the ones who are doing it unknowingly, we're in a day and age where you have faster access to information than we've ever had at the palms of our hands. So it's no excuses for them. But a lot of people that's been in our space, friends, family, associates, spouses, it always becomes a point in time in the relationship where true colors will be shown. It's a difference between you seeing somebody up and down on their spiritual roller coaster. There's another thing when someone is spewing hatred out of their pores, either into the atmosphere or in your direction or proximity. See, what a lot of people don't understand or choose not to understand with this vocabulary, these spells that we are taught from elementary school on up, is that when you speak a certain way and you put a certain vibration out there on a consistent basis, it's like eating junk food all day. It may, taste good for a little while, but the after effects on what it will do to your body, on what it will do to your spiritual state. I don't really like to say mental state. It's like I'm trying to pass it off to something else. So to each his own who use that word and that terminology in that way. I try to do my spells differently because we're all taught this language. So, you can have positive, productive spells, uplifting spells, giving life spells, or you can be causing harm with your spells, with your words. I've been a sibling, a friend, partner, son, nephew, all of these things most of my life, you know what I mean? And anytime I've ever got frustrated with someone that I love, I've never spewed the amount of hatred towards them that I receive in return when they are in a frustrated state, an angry state, any of these spaces where it allows you to process irrational. But a lot of these people that use the wrong playbook, this is their everyday communication. We gotta understand that sometimes when you just let people talk, it's like allowing somebody to just pour poison into your food or put poison into your body, because that's literally what happened. We feed ourselves three ways: ears, eyes, mouth. So if you don't know how to close off your portal when people are communicating, so that way not as much poison is getting through, it's going to have an impact and an effect on you. Even if you don't give them the response that they were looking for, you still intake it. Being in this space that I've been in for a while, it made me realize this is why I've always had a tendency of cutting people off if they are speaking unproductive. I never put someone who speaks in a toxic manner in a higher up space and just allow them to keep spewing in my proximity. See, a lot of these things are harmful to us, but because we aren't really taught how to communicate, we allow a lot of things to just flow past us. We're taught how to put this letter with this letter to make this sound, this syllable to make these sentences, to turn these sentences into paragraphs, to turn these paragraphs into, I don't know, summaries, letters, whatever, you know, essays, whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? But a lot of these people always have a tendency of showing who they are the same way we do, which is why we receive the backlash that we do. When I was younger and I used to bump heads with people, young meaning like my daughter's age, 9, she's 9, but anywhere from 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, I really didn't care too much. 14, I was definitely getting away from the caring part as far as the statement I would make. And I used to always think, like, I'm in this human body, they're in a human body. Why is their process so much different than mine? Why is it so easy for me to see a situation going on, either disagree, don't disagree, doesn't matter, it's just an example. I can put myself in these people's shoes and figure out how I would emotionally respond to whatever circumstance is at play. And anytime I try to put myself in these other people's shoes, you know, who always show me who they are in the most toxic, hateful manner that they possibly can put out to the universe, I always only come up with one solution. Like, they have to be on demon time. And even if we don't want to say it's them, it's another entity within them, it's still something that's taking place within their vessel that they were given to by the Creator, that they're supposed to be in charge of. We don't have other entities jumping in our body, moving us, the spiritual being who we are, to the side, and then just allowing another entity to operate our vessels. Once we got to a certain chapter in our journeys, you feel an extreme large amount of guilt within yourself when you put yourself in positions and you see yourself doing something out of character, or you feel as though you're not in control of your actions, what are actually happening. But these other people, I done had some people say some hateful things and the situation wasn't even that serious. And every time I have to experience it, I just have to think of how miserable these people have to be on the inside. How insecure these people have to be on the inside. How unwilling they are to change, grow, and fight off that vibration. Or fight off that entity that's in there occupying their space. See, when you've been a fighter your whole life, it's hard to process some of their actions because it is supposed to not make sense. And we like clarity. Clarity comes from following source and creator. It doesn't matter how chaotic a situation is, you will always receive some kind of clear instructions. Either how to get out the situation, how to handle the situation, whether it's a run or fight situation, it's always gonna be clear. It's never gonna be confusion or chaos. We confuse ourselves by not having a support system, and then we haven't been walking this way of life our entire lives, so we tend to question ourselves and our decision making. Which is understandable considering that it's weird that it always seems like it's large groups or masses or people coupled off that's going against us as if we were going at them. That'd be the weirdest thing to me. Trying to communicate and engage with people and have a productive conversation, a forwarding conversation, and it turns in the direction they want it to go in, And when we want to turn it our direction, it's usually so much hatred and resistance there that the only thing we can do is basically just stop. If you walking, it would be stand. A lot of people are fortunate to be in today's society due to a lot of the technology advancements and to the opioids. You know, everything starts off with good intentions, and then the demonic team flips it to something toxic. It's just how it works. Opioids could have been extremely helpful to us, but because they're used in another manner, they're detrimental to us. See, a lot of people wouldn't even be walking or living in today's society right now if it wasn't for the medical advances. And a lot of these medical advances is keeping the wrong people down here on this earth. I ain't even gonna hold you. It's keeping a lot of the wrong ones here still. Imagine if it was none of those advancements. Like, I have someone close to me that I have to deal with for life, and she has epilepsy. You know, it's no beef over there with her or anything like that. I'm just speaking of the examples that's been around near me in my life. But because they don't want to take the natural methods as far as figuring out how to get this entity out of them, how to get out of this contract that they signed, that their health was always going to be on the line or at risk, they wouldn't still be here today if it wasn't for these medical advances, you know? So when you think about what's going on in these doctors' offices and things, it's helping keep a lot of the demons here walking around. It's been helping some of, you know, God's chosen ones, the Creator's chosen ones. But for the most part, it's no reason why it should be an old folks home full of old people, and then you can go there and visit an old folks home, and you can still run into a lot of angry old people, a lot of bitter old people. Like, I know the environment is nasty and it could play a major part and factor as far as their demeanor and their attitude, but that doesn't change the character. So just because I had this in prison time, it didn't change who I was on the inside when I did go in there and do those 3 years. It didn't change who I was. I still stood as me. It's just the outside forces did have an effect on my reality. We put ourselves in enough weird, awkward positions with people who we wanted to give second chances, third chances, numerous opportunities to, and they always showed us every single time what playbook they are using. You can go snatch a book out of someone's hand, but that doesn't mean that they aren't going to fight for it back. That doesn't mean that they don't still want to read it. That doesn't mean that they don't still think about it and process it. Moving away from these books, the chosen one, creators, God's books and laws, and then you have the demonic team, books and laws. If they took our books away, we would still figure out a way to have our connection with Source. The same as with the other team. Even if they really want to be in that demonic realm, they are still going to do these things. We have to understand that if people haven't done a 180, it's no point of expecting them to be something different. There's no point in expecting different actions from them. They only can mask their new actions and intentions for a little while. I've had multiple people disappear and pop back up and make it seem like they've changed and transformed, and because I know people can change and transform, they feel as though I'm going to believe them. First thing I always look at and notice is whether they're speaking of source or creator. It's really that simple. They don't have no kind of stronger connection with source or creator. They not speaking it, walking it, living it. There is no change and shift in them. That demonic entity is still operating within there, and it's still going to cause the same damage, or try to, that it has done before previously. These things, just knowing and being aware of this knowledge and information, it'll keep you out of harm's way. It'll keep you from putting yourself in dangerous positions. I was talking with a clerk that was working at one of the 7-Elevens. I usually be going to the same stores, whether it's the Arab stores. I always fuck with the Arabs wherever I go. This one just happened to be the 7-Eleven, which I got the same 7-Eleven in Shell Station I like to go to all the time. So I like familiarizing myself with places and people and creating some kind of connection to that vibration or environment. Because I've stepped into Wawas or Sheets or something. If I don't like the vibration, I usually don't go in there. I don't really do Sheets and Wawa's really, just because those stores just feel a little too big for me. When I'm going for something convenient, I'd rather have it small. I'd rather have less choices, less options, so I can get in and get out really fast. But I was speaking to this one clerk, and they were mentioning how they was trying to get somebody out of their house, and it has gotten physical before. But not to the point to where the guy done something extreme to them, just physical. I'm assuming just something light. Whatever light is in a physical altercation relationship. I don't put my hands on females, so I don't really know about that process. I'm gonna get your daddy, your uncle, your brother, your cousin, your best friend. It don't make a difference to me. You would have to call somebody up, or I would pull up on them. But I don't put my hands on females. But they was in a weird situation where they trying to get somebody out their house, but they making it seem like they don't know how to get them out their house, but they also don't want to involve law enforcement, which is understandable. But at the same time, if you're not going to involve them, you have to either prepare yourself to get out of that space, or you have to figure out some way to forcefully remove them, whether you do it with a weapon, or whether they do it with some peers that they trust that will help them guide this person out of their space. Because I was telling them that's a dangerous place to put yourself in, especially if somebody is, an irrational thinker when they get angry or upset or frustrated. We're all gonna experience anger, these emotions, but it doesn't mean that you have to act irrational. But I was just mentioning to them, because I got a daughter, so I always think about these things. Like, when the energy and vibration gets too deep and dark of that nature, you have to get yourself out of those spaces, because men, we are naturally physically stronger. I don't care if a female been fighting her whole life, or she done beat up a few weak males before. Most men are strong. You just happen to beat up a weaker male. That's all that was. But most men will get you. I was just telling them, you got to get yourself out of that situation. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have something happen in the middle of the night, and now you won't even be able to get to your phone. You won't be able to get to your weapons. You won't be able to do these things. And you've already witnessed this person outbursts and outrages previously before. So you already know the depths that it will go. Whether they take heed or not, it's on them. It's just my job to put my 2 cents down there. You know what I mean? I told them, once they show you who they are, that's where they at, And if their first ideal thought process within isn't source, God, creator, Allah, whichever path you follow that gets you there is no shift happening. All they did was change clothes. There was no shift happening. All they did was shave their face. There was no change. All they did was cut their hair. There was no change. All they did was grow their hair. There was no change, no shift there. It's really a simple process, but for a lot of us, we tend to make things a lot more complicated because we're in these vessels and we can make certain decisions. And we do have a lot of choices. But whether it was friends, spouses, families, I never put anything past none of them. Once my own mama showed me how she willing to carry with me when I was younger, when I was a teenager, when I was an adult, then once I was an adult a second time in the space that I'm in now, because for me it's like, okay, I did grow up and older into an adult, but I wasn't in the space that I'm in today. So I can say, okay, maybe I'll change it and say when I was adult before and now that I'm in a more mature space. Because you can be an adult and still not be mature. So that just clarified things a little bit more for you, you know, and I still receive that same vibration from her. I'm out here fighting, taking on life, still fighting for my mini, doing all these other little things. And I take my daughter to see my niece, which my niece was with my mom. First thing my mom want to start doing is talking about like her shoes. I don't give a fuck about your shoes. You should already know this with me. I gave up on that fashion shit a long time ago. My mom know I used to be big into the shoe game. I used to be big into the fashion. I was always dropping my checks down on some new clothes, some new shoes, some new hats, something to stay fresh. That just used to be my thing, like everybody else's thing. So it really wasn't anything out of the ordinary, you know what I mean? But I'm in a space where I don't give a fuck about that, you know? I talk to you about real life stuff and then you figure out some way to divert the conversation somewhere else. We go to sit down to eat and it's just complaining in the beginning. Oh, I wish we should have went somewhere else to eat. Oh, we could have did it. Like, we barely even see you. And this is how you choose to hold conversation with complaints, which is low vibrational, and there's other things in this world we could be talking about. Believe it when they show you who they are and never put anything past them. Like, if somebody stabbed you in the back before in your past, but they don't have a knife right now and y'all hanging out, mingling all over again, don't think that they won't try their hand again. Even if it's not with a knife, there may be other weapons or tools around that they will try to shoot their shot. Keep these things in mind, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna run it up too long though. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.